Hello, Selam. My name is KATHERINE HREIB. I currently live in southern Turkey, in Fethiye. There have been many original names for this area, and the one that I'm choosing to share with you today is Makri, which is an old Greek name. There have been many people living on this land: Arabs, Greeks, Kurdish people, Turkish people. And that's actually why this area is so interesting. It's a center of collaboration. What I'm doing out here is I operate an organic farm in the highlands. It's called Yayla in Turkish, it's a high mountain valley. And up there, it's our first year. It's very different from what locals are doing, the methods that we're using, and all of the methods that I'm applying right now have been supported and learned through MESA and through my mentorship. So we do a mixture of dry farming. We don't apply chemicals. We intercrop. We use local resources to make compost, and we're hoping over time that this project is supported more by locals and also by local friends. I will be presenting on the topic of social metabolism as part of a training and applied agroecology program. I was part of cohort 3. So on the one hand, we have social, which in a more scientific way, we think of social organisms, including humans, including animals, including plants. But social organisms live in interacting populations. Sometimes we don't realize how connected we are to plants, animals, or other countries in the world. The other word that we have here is metabolism. And this word is derived from a Greek word meaning change. So metabolism, when we think about our bodies, is the process of consumption and elimination, digestion. Metabolism is what allows us to eat and process food and grow and gain nutrition to ourselves and maintain our health. So when we combine these two words, we have on the one hand social organisms living in interacting populations, and on the other hand, the processing and the digestion of different materials. The flow of materials between nature and society, they're both autonomically regulated and controlled. So that means sometimes we're aware of how we're controlling systems or controlling our relationships, and other times we are unaware because the process can be very far away from us. This slide, we see Earth's biosphere, and we see that solar energy is coming in, and solar energy, for instance, allows plants to grow. And when farmers are farming those food, they then sell them in a market, and that's part of the economic system. People then eat that, it's part of nutrition, and then it goes into elimination. I invite you to think of your own example, to think through what social metabolism is. My car is connected to many pieces of the world and many people and many processes and many materials. There's multiple stages of social metabolism: transformation, circulation, consumption, and excretion. Before the car is my car, it took metals and mining. All the parts had to be formed. So that was transformation from natural materials into formed materials. There's also leather and plastics. And also there were designers that spent time designing this car so that it would be popular or liked by the public. So that was a decision to encourage circulation of the model. While it's my car, I need gas for it, so I consume gas. I produce exhaust from the car. And with my car, I'm able to commute to my farm and transport goods to the city. So through that, I contribute to an economic system. That's part of both circulation and excretion. After it's my car, some of the parts will be recycled, so they will be circulated somewhere else, and they might be melted down, so they might be transformed. Some of them might be junked, and that would be called excretion. Some landfills are transforming trash into methane gas to then be used for energy. So sometimes when something ends up in a landfill, it can be used ultimately for a public good. Social metabolism is a useful way of conceiving of relationships between materials and habits that support our daily life. and even these habits that we're not aware of how they're supporting our life. Metabolism is a word that we sometimes think of as a passive term. Metabolism is something that happens when I eat food, and it's how quickly I digest food. But metabolism is also something that we can adjust. For instance, our metabolism or our stomach can't take just any type of food. Usually, if we keep eating only one type of food, we'll have an upset stomach and we'll need to adjust what we're doing. I think of social metabolism in the same way, is that there's a certain balance point where, let's say, there's too much of something, too much pollution in the atmosphere. And at this point, we see people are getting respiratory diseases and all sorts of other things happening. Because of this, then we might need to exert some control onto the system in order to lessen the pollution and bring more balance to the system. There's self-regulation and extrinsic control. So that means self-regulation is sort of when I eat bread, my stomach digests it and I don't have to worry about it. But sometimes if my diet is not great and I keep eating the same food, after a while, I will have to put myself on a different dietary plan in order to fix what's going on with my upset stomach. So the same thing is happening in the world. Many processes in the world self-regulate. But at a certain point, if a problem arises, then there might need to be control onto the system in order to recalibrate and bring more balance. For instance, if our goal is to re-regulate our habits of interaction with the environment, with different species, and with each other, we need to be in balanced, self-regulating relationships. One example of this is a land trust. A land trust, in its best case scenario, is something where people collectively will take control of land or own land, and they will put it into trust, meaning that they might have a certain set of values, and that land is then protected with those values. So let's say they have a value that no one can build on this land, no one can pour concrete on this land. And by making it part of a land trust, it protects it beyond just like a normal real estate property that a house is on. With something like this, we create a plan in order to protect and maintain continuous balance between the environment and how humans are able to both benefit and interact with the environment. Rehabilitating land is another way to re-regulate social metabolism. So one example of this is transitioning from chemical-assisted agriculture into a chemical or pesticide-free agriculture. Over time, the chemicals will become less in the ground, and it will allow things like mycelium and mycorrhizal to repopulate the area, which would probably bring many sorts of natural surprises and also increase the nutrition in the food, which would then benefit us. Recalibrating satisfaction. So in social metabolism, if we have a skewed concept of what we need in this life, for instance, I need a huge amount of money to accomplish my goal. Maybe it's true and maybe it's not. Maybe we can do with more trust in our communities, more collaboration. And by becoming satisfied with what's in front of us and what is in harmony with nature, this will also help recalibrate our balance as a society, as a world. I think it's fair to point this out. I'm calling on Antonin Artaud. He writes, "When you have made him a body without organs, then you will have delivered him from all of his automatic reactions and restored him to his true freedom." I'm asking you what you think about this. I think we can think of the body without organs. We could say maybe it's a society without institutions and schools and laws and things like this. Maybe organs are the things that regulate the body, and the body could be the world. And I actually think that institutions, if we got rid of them, also the body would die. We don't have any replacement. But what we do need to do is re-regulate the health of our organs, the health of our institutions, the health of our educational systems, the health of our farms, and our families and our relationships. By re-regulating and bringing balance to our relationships, our hope is that this would show in society at large. Here's a slide of my references. Fresh Kills Park is a park that I used to work at in New York City. And this park was the largest landfill in the United States, and they capped it. And now over time, the landfill sinks and they collect the methane and they use that for energy. So this is a great example of social metabolism, is how to recycle waste into something now that allows us not to go somewhere else for energy. We can receive energy from our own waste. It's my contact information. I invite you to follow on Instagram. The second Instagram handle here, Rose Country Farm, is a community farm project that we have out here. Our elders are calling us. We're hoping that we can do our best to plant trees and rehabilitate the area. Thank you so much.